So please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, as I now invite Mrs. Radha Goenka to share her valuable address with all of us.
Good morning. Thank you, Kavya, for the introduction. 11 years ago, in 2008, I had just returned from the United States. As part of my senior year thesis, where I wanted to understand the impact of television advertisements on children, I had visited a school in the Adarsh Nagar community in Worli near our office. The children in that school were so eager to learn, but the school was not able to meet that need. Not like it should. The lack of opportunities that those children faced only because of the kind of schools they attend was very apparent to me. I felt we had to do something to change that. Right there and then, I was invested in education as a cause. Before we decided what we should do as a foundation, we started with a gap analysis of the education system in Mumbai. Speaking to teachers, principals, government officials, and the larger community, we came to understand that the dropout rate in government schools back then was as high as 43%. Anyone who had the opportunity to pay for an education opted for a private school. This choice was made on the belief that their children would be able to learn English. The pull to learning English was justified. Smartphones and easy access to the internet had opened up a world of opportunity for English speakers. 90% of the content on the internet is, after all, in English. Couple that with industries like retail and IT that were growing, prospects of employment were clearly higher for English speakers. To tackle the high dropout rate, the government introduced schemes like midday meal. It worked. Attendance in government schools went up again, but the problem still remained. Government schools were still not teaching English. So why weren't government schools teaching English? They knew what people wanted. Why weren't they addressing the need? Of course, systemic issues were a problem that most of us in India are familiar with. But the main issue for English education in government schools lied in funds. Lack of funds for dedicated teachers to teach English. Teachers proficient in English are expensive. With the limited budgets that schools get, they need their teachers to teach multiple subjects. That's where we came in. We partnered with government schools to teach English with our Pehle Akshar program. We recruited our own teachers and sent them into schools to take the English classes. One of the unique things we could achieve back then was an in-school program where we taught English classes during school hours, ensuring consistent attendance. Then came the next problem, the content. English in India at a curriculum level is taught in a British way. It's full of rules and is very structured. For example, learning would be focused around what is a pronoun or what is an adjective. We believe language acquisition is better and easier through practices like phonetic learning and immersion. Our children might not be able to tell you what exactly a pronoun is, but would be able to use it correctly in a sentence. After extensive research, we could not find any curriculum that worked exactly for our context. Hence, we devised our own curriculum. We call this our functional English curriculum. We took in learnings from best practices for language acquisition from around the world. We use international theories, but have a local context to ensure our children relate to our sessions. For example, in a particular Pehle Akshar class, the children would be shown flashcards in the beginning for vocabulary building. This is taken from the Glenn Dorman Institute in Philadelphia. Then they would read a story around a central theme, maybe like the solar system, where the teacher would point and read along with the children. Again, an established theory that has been used by the Digantar school in Jaipur. All of this would be weaved into an interactive discussion on the solar system with a local context. A solar system discussion often ends up in a class typically actually forming a model solar system, where each child represents a planet and rotates and revolves like planets do, learning and having fun all at the same time. Our functional English program is a 6-year program from grade 4 to grade 9 and focuses on building basic speaking and reading skills in children. In 6 years, we bring our children to a level of being employable in an English-speaking job. But English is not our only goal. We want to teach English, but not only English. We want our children to love learning so that they use English to pursue growing and enriching themselves. Our kids not only have a good grasp of the language, but believe that they can work hard and achieve anything. No career is inaccessible to them. At a recent visit to the Worli Municipal School, a girl in the 6th year of our program told me that she wants to be a newsreader on an English television channel. Such aspirations are possible. This makes us proud. But the happy faces on our children was not enough to convince me we were adding value. We needed to measure our success. Thus, we set up a rigorous evaluation framework. We conduct year-on-year evaluations of our children. We measure our success by the level of English amongst children in non-English medium schools, where often the only exposure to the language is our Pehle Akshar class. We also measure our success through the support we get from the government, where earlier we sought one-year permissions, we now get 5-year permissions in most of our locations. Our Pehle Akshar English program grew with RPG. We grew our program into locations that our companies had presence. Over the years, we have grown from one school in Worli into 5 states and over 60 schools. Growing with RPG helped us keep our costs down and help leverage the existing company resources. While we started in Mumbai, we grew to semi-urban, rural and industrial areas. This had many challenges. The demographics and exposure to the language of the teachers and children greatly varied. But along with the challenges came the learnings. Our program underwent changes at the curriculum level. We even brought in technology into the classroom. At an operational level, we had to work with teachers at various skill levels through our trainings to deliver the same learning outcomes. This has brought us to our next journey of growth, our training program. In our Pehle Akshar classes, not only our children, but our teachers have fun too. They achieve their learning goals and enjoy the process. In order to meet the growing need from the government to take on more schools, we realized that if we trained existing government teachers in our methodology, we would be creating a multiplier effect and impacting many more children than we could in our existing model. Through our training program, we work on breaking mental barriers of teachers and creating growth mindsets. What makes our training program different from the existing trainings that happen in government schools already? Firstly, of course, our content, which is based on the learnings from our schooling program. Secondly, the structure. The teachers go through a 1-year training during which we meet them weekly in a small self-help group format to ensure learning happens on a day-to-day basis. Lastly, our digital learning platform, through which we continue to add value to these self-help groups even after we leave the schools. The training program was launched 3 years ago, again in Worli, and has now grown to 7 states, and we have trained over 4,000 teachers so far. A recent evaluation study conducted by Satwa on our impact through our training program reinforced our belief that we were doing something that adds value. At Pehle Akshar, our goal is to light the fire. With our children, we give them English language and the desire to learn. With our teachers, we give them shared spaces to learn and grow with the hope that they give the same to our children. We hope to spark this fire in as many children and teachers as we can and get closer to our vision to ensure every child has access to a good quality holistic education and takes him closer to finding meaningful employment. Overall, at RPG Foundation, our single point focus is to drive employment. In addition to the Pehle Akshar education program, we are driving employment with programs like Sanjeevani, where we train women to become bedside assistants in hospitals, and Swayam, where women are trained to become drivers. Our Swayam women get employed as taxi drivers by companies like Ola and Uber, and are path breakers in an industry that is primarily male dominated. At a local level, around each of our factories, we use a needs-based approach and work with various stakeholders to build skills in communities around us. We have stringent monitoring and evaluation systems and aim for a minimum of 75% employment through all our initiatives. We have been doing CSR at RPG way before the 2% mandatory CSR spend. When I started looking into CSR at the group, I came across such wonderful acts on a day-to-day basis in all our companies. I would often question with pride why don't more people know about this? And would be told, when your right hand gives something, even your left hand must not know about it. Of course, that was a different time, but it came from a belief that our work speaks for itself. Culturally, we strongly stand with that belief. Giving has always been part of the RPG culture, but the CSR Act has helped us structure our giving and helped us pursue long-term goals. As American author and activist Helen Keller said, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." We hope to grow and work collaboratively with all of you here to create a deeper impact together. I'd like to end